All right, welcome back.
Welcome back. So Chris ended it by asking, "Is there going to be a cutscene?"
Yeah.
You got to expect yes to that.
Yeah, no,
every time.
I kind of figured, but you've actually played this, so you'd probably know.
Every time we do one of these type of things, there's a cutscene. It doesn't matter if this is the entire cutscene.
Maybe he found something out.
Where we don't. This doesn't matter.
Right.
But it's a cutscene every time.
I mean, at least the cutscenes are pretty short in this comparatively to
After a
Yakuza.
battle. Yeah.
Yakuza
After a
cutscenes are
battle.
like 40 minutes. It's just like,
You know,
I guess we'll end the episode
we're
here.
getting close to that ending
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah.
We're
We're not getting close to ending that game, Derek. We're getting close to 100% ending that game.
Yeah, you're right.
Which is something we will never do again.
We're not gonna 100% it, I don't think. Not 100%.
Not 100%, but we're doing all the
We're
side
doing a pretty
quests.
good job on it.
Yeah.
Can't I ever see
Merlin, my boy!
Yes, exactly.
Represent.
Oh, it's Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
Snuggly, funkly, something, dumping, hunk of fluff. Yeah,
Your elderness.
Your elderness.
Yo, old guy.
Wrote this book.
Did
Winnie
I?
the Pooh.
Oh, I'm very sad to say this isn't one of mine, but what a remarkable book it is. This unassuming volume seems to have the unusual
Wait a minute.
effect of awakening one's innermost abilities.
A book that makes people
So-
stronger?
Is he the wizard
it's
from the
alright,
Black
Artemis.
Cauldron?
Might I have a closer look?
The name
Disney
is
hates the
That's
Black
Merlin.
Cauldron.
That's Merlin.
Yeah. So he's the wizard from the Black Cauldron. Disney hates the Black Cauldron because it was a financial disaster for them. They refused to acknowledge it exists.
I think he's actually the Merlin from the Arthur story. Because Disney did an Arthur story.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. They did.
So
I totally forgot about that movie. Forgot that movie even existed.
I think this is actually an optional thing I'm doing here, but
Optional, floptional.
so they don't even have a Winnie the Pooh world in this game.
Mm.
They have one of those command boards, which is the Fortune Street
Yeah.
version of it, which I'm never gonna do.
That's mean.
I hate that fucking minigame.
Come on, man. You're telling me you don't like Monopoly? Have you seen all the new versions of Monopoly that have come out?
I don't know what you're talking about. Do you want to play Thief version, College Success version, Steal from the Bank version?
Dude, okay, so Monopoly Thieves Edition is hilarious to me because literally me and my friends used to actually play that before it was an official board game. We used to try and trick each other and steal money and shit from the game, and if you got caught, you go to jail. So it was like...
No, I actually like that.
It was a ton of fun. So the fact that they made that a board game, I was like, oh hell yeah, they finally fucking did it. Also, I like that literally in the box they were just like, also there's house rules where you can do like normally they're like objectives for what you need to steal and you get like bonuses for it, but then they have like house rule. They had one rule set that's like anything goes. Where they're like, essentially it's house rules, but like you could just go and steal and do whatever you want, and if you get caught, then like whatever punishments are necessary get like added, and it's really fun. Because essentially how me and my friends played it. But they made it two more, which I think are fucking hilarious. They made Monopoly Socialism Edition.
Yes, that
Which
was the
is-
one I saw.
Amazing! Because the game is essentially like impossible to win. Because if socialism runs out of money in the community chest, then you just lose the game because there's no more money to pay anyone. But the only way money gets put in there is if people donate their own money to it, and because everyone's a greedy motherfucker, of course no one does, so pretty much everyone loses every time. And I find it so funny because I'm like, wow, this is a perfect representation of socialism, really. Well done. This is very funny. This is very funny. People are very mad about that one, but
I actually liked
it's
it.
very funny to me. It's also on point. I mean, if you play the game like a socialism game and you donate money, if you donate the money that you don't need, then you should be able to win it, no problem. But no one wants to do that because people want to win themselves. It's almost like socialism is a bad system when everyone in the human race are terrible people.
Well, you're wrong.
I think we've had this discussion on the show like more than anything else.
Oh, without a
which
doubt.
is that like
In practice.
in practice,
It doesn't work.
it's on paper it's a great idea, but in practice, it doesn't really work out the way it should. They also released a new one, which got the other group of people on the political spectrum mad, which was Monopoly Women's Edition. No, they called it Miss Monopoly, which is a Monopoly game, but if you're a girl, you get more money than the guys. That's it. That's the only difference to the
What?
rulebook. Yeah.
That just sounds...
And right when I saw it, I was just like, you know what? I gotta give props to Monopoly. They are master level trolling now. Like, every new Monopoly board that comes out is some political rhetoric, like, troll, and it's amazing. Like, it's so funny to me. But yeah, essentially they just made a Monopoly game where women make more money than men. If you're a girl playing the game, you get like double the money or something that the guys
That's an
get
unfair
when they go-
advantage!
It's like so funny because I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, man, the irony of this would really be if they still lost. That's where the irony would come in. But like, man, I love it. I can't wait to see what next crazy bullshit like like Monopoly board they come up
My
with.
girlfriend has... It's a little table, but it has the Monopoly thing built into it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm like, that's really cool. It's like an antique.
I watched a guy, what was it? I watched this guy who bought a World War II Monopoly board,
Interesting.
which I love. And it wasn't an American Monopoly board. It was one of the ones that were licensed out to Europe,
country? Yeah.
Europe, and to Britain specifically. And of course, it was during wartime, so they weren't able to use like any actually good materials because, you know, wartime, all the resources are being used towards the war. And like, it literally comes with a like an apology note, explaining that the quality of the board is really low, but they can't do anything about it because of war times. They hope they enjoy it anyways. It's very, very neat.
It's really cool.
And like the pieces are made out of instead of getting the metal pieces that you normally get, they were like cardboard cutouts of the pictures of the pieces, like glued to little pieces of wood so they'd stand up.
That's metal.
And like all the houses were made out of like misshapen like wood that they had like laying around that they could like chop up and like into the pieces.
That's really weird, and I like it.
Yeah. Oh, it was really sick. They weren't like house shaped. They were like, I believe they were like little pucks, just like little cylinders that were just the colors of the houses and the hotels. And I'm like, this is super neat. I also guess they were used to smuggle like escape plans and maps and news and stuff to people that were imprisoned, who were German. I mean, imprisoned who were British in other prisons around the other countries, because they'd be like, okay, you guys get board games for your to like edge out your time in prison. They would have like, if you cracked them open, they would have like secret messages and shit in them that had like
Yeah, like
plans
codes
and stuff.
and shit.
Yeah. Which is really cool.
That's
The guy,
actually cool.
the board that guy got, he was looking for one, but the board he got was not one, obviously. Because, let's be honest,
It
there
probably-
probably aren't any left, because they were probably mostly all cracked open and, like, actually used for their purpose of helping people escape prisons. That being said, I'm sure there's some collectors who got a couple of them. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
So long.
Monopoly's really neat because it's just been around for so long, and
It's a classic.
it never changed. But like the
It's
quality,
the same
is-
game.
the quality of the boards and the pieces and
So-
what pieces you get have all
Yeah,
changed.
it's
very
the
neat.
same game,
Yeah,
but it's just different.
they also had a Monopoly Millennials edition
I remember that.
where like you don't buy properties, you buy things that make you a cooler member of society, which I think is hilarious.
I think it's very on point.
Yeah, and I am a millennial, and I agree that is very on point. Me and Derek are both technically millennials, but
We're in that weird
we're in
point
that-
that's just a year below.
Yeah. I'm
after it.
almost certain they're gonna change it because they always do. But yeah, literally the cutoff point is like in 1996, and I was born in 95 and he was born in 96.
95. 95.
I mean, you were born in 94. Wait, you were born in 95? I thought you were born in 94.
Beginning of it.
I thought you were a year older than me. Then.
I am.
For most of the year. For most of the
For
year.
the most part.
Weird. So yeah. Blah blah. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So like we're literally like right on the edge of millennials to like Gen Z, which makes a lot of sense because that's probably why I don't get offended by the stupid shit when people make fun of millennials because I tend to agree with them most of the time.
Oh yeah.
There's only a few exceptions where I'm like, oh, that's kind of unfair, but
I hate it. So this fight is one of the few fights that every single character gets, because there's every single character.
hey, look at them all. Do they all fight as a team?
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
This is actually one of the few occasions where you fight with other people in this game.
If you said no, I was gonna be really disappointed. It's gonna be like, really?
It would be weird if you said no.
Exactly. Oh my God, you're fighting Power Rangers. Whoa, Rangers, gonna Power Rangers, lost galaxy.
I love it.
I know the theme song. I know the theme song for Heart to the original Power Rangers, Lost Galaxy, Turbo Force, Lightspeed Rescue, which is Lightspeed Rescue, and
So this is one of the
Space.
most broken mechanics.
tap the button fast. It's not very broken if he doesn't let you do it.
But this is how you fucking cheese your way through the highest difficulties.
I get that.
Like, I'm already one down from him, or one health bar down.
Jeez. Yeah, that's pretty. That's
And you
pretty
can't-
effective. You didn't get it that time, though.
I thought it was gonna be a hit. But
I think you're invincible in that form.
you are.
Yeah, you should have just went for it. Hey, you can't win them all, man. You can only cheese so hard. Oh yeah, that reminds. Have you ever? There's this guy on you ever see the Chevy commercials?
Yes.
Where they're like, we brought real people in to talk about this
I
car.
fucking
and they're
love that.
so obviously like stage actors. They're looking at this Chevy Malibu and they're just like, oh man, is this a new Mercedes Benz? And it's like, no, not even fun. Why would one of the highest luxury class cars ever look like this stock ass fucking mostly plastic?
I love those because
Chevy
they're
Malibu.
so untrue.
Yeah. But there's this guy on the internet who self-inserts himself into the
That's
commercials.
what I'm thinking of.
And he's a fucking riot because he's just like, is this a new Mercedes? And he's like, are you fucking serious? He's like, what in your right mind makes you think this is a fucking Mercedes? But my favorite one is they did the one for millennials. They did the Chevy commercial for millennials, which is a riot because it's so... They bring in all the most stereotypical looking millennials they can, and then they try and play it off as they're like, oh, they're not stereotypical millennials because they don't like the millennial things that most millennials like. And it's just like the cringiest goddamn shit I've ever seen. But like they put him in it, and it made me laugh my ass off because he was just like, he's like, ain't no fucking, he's like, I don't even know why I'm here. I'm not even a fucking millennial. He's like, I'm not even a fucking millennial. I don't like any of those motherfuckers. And then he like cuts back to him later in the commercial, and he's like looking at his phone. He's like, oh my god, I just looked it up, and I am a millennial. Oh god, I fucking hate myself now. He's like, what the fuck ever happened to Gen Y? As in, like, why the fuck am I here right now? It's the fucking love it. It's the funniest goddamn shit to me. I love that. I love that just because I've done that to so many people in like in real life, because they'll just be like, fucking millennials don't want to do anything, and I'm just like, you do realize you're a millennial, right? He's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, dude, anyone born from 1985 to 1990, like 6 or 5
Oh, yeah,
is a
it's
millennial,
great.
and they're like, wait, really? And I'm like, yeah, dumbass.
I love it. It's so funny when people don't understand anything.
Anyone who's like, it's just funny because most of the time it's anyone in their 30s don't think they're a millennial, and I'm just like, you are that group, dude. 30s is the millennial group, dude. It's like, so they like talk shit, and I'm just like, you do realize that you are.
You are what you're talking about.
Yeah,
right?
there was one dude at my work who was just like, he's like, no offense, but I don't like anything you millennial kids like. I'm like, how old are you? And he was just like, blah blah blah. I'm like, what were you born? He's like, I was born in fucking '88, and I was just like, yeah, you're a millennial too, idiot. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, look it up.
So millennials are actually people older than us.
Yeah.
What they're thinking of is anybody who is younger than us.
Which is Gen Z, not millennials.
So when you say I hate Gen Z,
Yeah, that's the other thing. They're normally like, oh, there's all these kids, all these millennials these days refusing to work. They're all so young and attached to their phones. And I'm like, you're thinking of Gen Z. All the millennials are old now. Like, our generation, we're not giving birth to new millennials. We're only giving birth to new Gen Zers now.
it's not even Gen Z anymore. I don't remember what it's called now.
Yeah, the kids being born now are not Gen Z. They don't have a name because they don't come up with a name until it's too late. And they need to, like, insult them. Yeah, that's how it always goes.
Boy,
you know it's true.
I do.
Like, Derek laughs because he knows it's true.
Because the baby boomer,
Yeah.
they only called that because, you know,
There were a bunch of babies that
because
were
they
being
made
born.
a ton of kids.
They were like, shit, we need a name for this thing. What do we call it? Baby boomers. And it's like, man, these kids, they just won't work these days. We need an umbrella term so that we can be angry about it. What should we call them? I don't know, millennials or some shit? Got it.
I hate blanket terms.
Spying on me?
I hate them.
I mean, I
They're
don't...
good and bad.
I don't hate them. They have their perks, but they also have major disadvantages. The problem with it is that because it's a blanket term, it doesn't apply to everyone, which makes it defaultly...
Just stay put. I'm on my
He's
own
so
now.
upset.
Alright?
But it makes it, like, inherently incorrect to a certain degree, because it's a blanket term that's supposed to apply to everyone, but because it's a blanket term, it can't apply to everyone. This is not a pipe. It's like... So it ends up being like that scenario where it's like, in some regards it works, and then in other regards it's like, this does not add up. Because technically speaking, millennials should also be millennials in China, but because Chinese people have grown up in a completely different environment for us, there's a good chance that millennials in China and millennials in the US have literally nothing in common.
From what I understand, it also has to do with culture, too.
Yeah.
The millennial is really the only term for Americans.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that's not true. They also use it in Britain and shit,
True.
occasionally.
in Britain and England.
But they also have a totally different
Yeah, because, like,
system than us, so, like, it
Asian
wouldn't-
countries
similar in
have a
any way.
very vastly different mindset than us.
Yeah.
Like, Japanese and the Chinese, they're way more hardworking than Americans. For the most part.
To
Some of it.
to a
Some
certain
of them.
extent, it's to a fault, though.
Yeah.
Because they're literally killing themselves to work
Oh, yeah.
absurd hours.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
My mandatory 60 hours a week.
Yeah. No, Derek, please.
I
It's
know.
mandatory 80 hours a week there.
I know, that's the joke.
For us, we get 60 hours a week and we're just like, I hate this, but I have to. For them, it's just like, this is just how it should be.
This is life.
This
now.
is how life is. That one went way higher than any of them have gone so far. I guess that's on purpose. Okay. But yeah, anything that's... It really, all the terminology is just to give people an easy term to be like, I hate the young people. And then
These kids
and
these
then,
days!
in 40, 50 years, me and you are gonna do the exact same shit. We're just gonna be like, man, these fucking kids these days.
Kids these days!
And they're fucking uploading their brains to the internet. Whatever happened to hard working? Whatever happened to looking at the internet on a screen like a normal person?
Like a fucking peasant!
All these kids nowadays just want to upload their brain into the internet and never come out.
I don't blame them.
I've talked about this before with a few of my friends in tech, and they're just like, And I'm like, no, as soon as we're able to... I'm like, I like VR, but VR is just a stepping stone to a very dangerous future. And they're like...
Oh, yeah.
They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, eventually, we're gonna get so good that we're gonna be able to upload our brains into the internet. And once we do that, why would we ever leave? Because you can't die now. You're in the internet, like,
You're
as a
kind of
digital
immortal.
conscious. You're essentially immortal now. You can't die. You don't need food or water to live. And you don't need to work to live now. Why would you ever want to leave there? But if you never want to leave there, then no one's ever going to want to leave there. And if no one ever wants to leave there, and not to mention the environment can be whatever you want because it's a digital world. Like you can
Digital
be
monsters,
you
Digimon are the champion!
You can be in the city and then all of a sudden just be like, yeah, I want to be in the woods right now, and then you're just in the woods now. Like, that's just... There's not even travel to get there. There's not even a hassle of packing for a trip there, because anything you need, you can just digitally create right in front of you at any point. So I'm like, so why would you ever want to leave? And if no one wants to leave, then who the hell is going to make sure that the computer lives in the real world? You see like, it becomes this
you create
long...
robots that do that.
Yeah, and then we literally live in the Matrix. Because
I actually don't have a problem with the Matrix.
It becomes a problem if the robots decide, hey,
They
they have it too good in there, we should make their world like the real world used to be in there, and then people forget over time what the real world is, and then someone wakes up and or gets a glitch in the Matrix, and then freaks the fuck out, or they wake up in the real world and freak the fuck out, and then they come back, and then either two things happen. Either they die immediately, they try and free other people by ripping them out of the machines, or they go back and try and tell people. If they tell people, either they're going to think they're crazy, or it's going to cause mass panic. Essentially, this leads to a whole world of fucked up problems that I'm not... Which, luckily, I'll be long dead for by the time we get there.
I don't know, man.
Unless the uploading your brain consciousness to the internet becomes a thing quicker than expected, in which case I'm doing that shit anyways. But then uploading your brain to the internet also causes a new issue, because then it becomes, which you is the real you? You're now a digital copy that can be copied infinitely.
Does it matter?
Forever. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, but like, that's the question is, which one of you is the real world? Which one of you is the real you? And then, doesn't matter if there is a real you. Those are questions that not everyone is going to come to the same conclusion of, which will cause mass panic. For me, personally, it is, yeah, I don't give a shit, upload my shit to that. That sounds cool. And it's like, but which one of you is the real you? I don't really care. I live forever now. I'm immortal.
I'll be something else by the time it matters.
Yeah, it's like, I'm immortal now, forever. I don't think I have my entire life to come to that conclusion, and my life is infinite. So, yeah, there's a lot of that. Welcome to Chris Talks the Apocalypse. With co-host Derek Son. So yeah, this is like, these are the things that I think of late at night, and then I'm just like, man, we're fucked.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's about right.
Because for me, the answer is obvious. I don't care. But that's because I'm complacent, and what's the word for when you just don't give a shit about anything?
I don't know. I know what the word you're looking for is, but I forget.
It is fuck. It'll come to me after we're done,
Well,
obviously.
We're done now, so...
Yeah, we are done now. We're gonna have to call it quits, so we'll talk to you later. Peace.